begin with giving you the actual thrust of this Upanishad, any Upanishad for that matter. All this knowledge is meant for only one thing. What? Self-knowledge. The touch of pure consciousness which you already are. Yes, all these prakriyas will be given to you only to go back to there, from where the I sense in you has emerged. The sense of I, being, the source of that is Brahman. It is shining in your heart as your consciousness. Pure consciousness, not consciousness invested in thought, emotion, not all that. So, what we already are, by thinking about it, see, this is the Upanishadic path, the path of knowledge. By thinking about it, you will go back to it. The problem is, according to Vedanta, the problem is we don't think correctly. We are thinking of ourselves very, very wrongly. How do we see ourselves? Everything begins from you, the way you perceive yourself. So if I am thinking of myself only in terms of body, very limited identity. And so then the problems which I face in life, I will attribute it to somebody, because my body and sense of personality is real. So the problem in my life is the boss or the spouse or the something or the somebody or the other in my life. Because my body consciousness is so real. So you see, Vedanta is pointing out to you, your primary problem is your ignorance of yourself. Most people don't identify this as a problem at all. That's the beauty of Maya, Means it will make the real unreal and the unreal real. Asato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sattva. The unreal never comes into existence and the real never ceases to be. But we are not able to identify it. When there is strong body consciousness and mind consciousness, there can be no soul consciousness. This is the problem according to Vedanta. So problem is never the boss or the spouse or anybody in your life. The problem is my understanding of myself is wrong primarily. So I am functioning as a very limited human being. Obviously I will only draw limitations to myself. And I conveniently blame somebody for that. So there is a nice story, which actually illustrates this. How exactly Vedanta sees the problem. Please remember, the problem is neither the object outside, nor is it our emotion, nor is it our restlessness, nor is it, our deep sanskars which take us outward. The problem is our ignorance of ourselves first and foremost. That is why then the rest follow. That is why the restlessness of mind. जब खुद के बारे में कुछ पता नहीं है, your mind will be restless. Yes, because you're searching for something, you don't know where to search. We are searching under the street light. Yes, this is the street light, the world outside. We are not searching at home. We lost the key there, but we don't search there. तो ये जो story अभी मैं आपको बोलने वाली हूँ, that will give you a good idea of how the whole problem is with ignorance. There is a beautiful saying in Vedanta. Mana eva manushyana karanam bandha mokshayoga. Mind alone is the cause for your bondage and your liberation. Liberation is liberation of mind. Yes, not that you zoom out somewhere. It is liberation of the mind from its limitations. So acknowledging this sense of bondage is the very first step in Vedanta. Our sense of ourselves is misplaced. This is what they are telling you. This is the primary problem. From that follows wrong thinking, aberrated intelligence, emotional twists in your life, and wrong kind of relationships, wrong kind of disposition. And that will follow all the other problems in our lives. So initially understanding this, I don't know who I am. As if that was not enough, I know myself wrongly. I don't know what the self is, and I know I am body and mind. This is the problem according to Vedanta. And this is so universal. इसीलिए ये जो माया चीज है ना, ये कॉस्मिक है, एक यूनिवर्सल आवरण has been thrown on all of us, on our buddhi. So we are not able to see the reality of pure being, which you are even just now. You are Brahman. So let me tell you this story. You remember the story. एक धोबी था. So you know, in ancient India, all these dhobis would take their donkeys to the river to wash clothes. They would wash their clothes there and then again upload the clothes on the donkey and bring it back. The donkey was used only for that purpose. But इनका जो गधा था ना, he thought he was very smart. He thought he was very smart. तो उसने सोच लिया कि अच्छा ठीक है, चलो एक दिन तो धोबी ले गया वो धोबीगढ़ के लिए. And then वहाँ पर he suddenly realized he had forgotten the rassi with which to tie the गधा. Because if you forget the rope, वो गधा इधर उधर चला जाएगा ना. So he had forgotten the rope. Then he thought, so much of bundles of clothes I have to wash, dry, then load it back on this donkey. And this fellow will go here and there. Now what do I do? अब फिर से जाके वो रस्सी लाना बहुत मुश्किल है. So he was wondering what to do when one sadhu came there. And the donkey also was waiting. ये अब क्या करता है? Then the sadhu came there and said, क्या हुआ? आप अपना काम नहीं शुरू कर रहे हो? तो धोबी ने कहा, अरे भाई मैं तो रस्सी भूल गया, क्या करूं? Then the sadhu said, hey, just do this. और गधा देख रहा है. He's watching. What are they talking about me? Then thank you कहा वो धोबी ने, प्रणाम महात्मा, बहुत शुक्रिया कह के वो गधे के पास आया. Then you know what he did? He downloaded the clothes, okay, first of all. Then उसने ऐसी एक्टिंग की जैसे बांध रहा है गधे को. रस्सी तो थी नहीं, लेकिन ऐसे बांध रहा है. उसको ऐसे किया, फिर ऐसे बांधा, फिर पेड़ को बांधा. He took 2 minutes to do this acting. और गधे ने सोच लिया, अरे अब मैं बंध गया. बस, no one tied up to the tree. Then the धोबी went to wash his clothes. Whole morning he washed clothes. और गधा बैठ के सोच रहा है, कैसा जीवन है मेरा. मैं I could have been so free, but he ties me up every day. और फिर किसके लिए? उसके कपड़े उठा के ले जाने के लिए. इतना मैं एक फ्री बर्ड हो सकता था, लेकिन अपने completely bound हूँ. क्या करे, मेरा जीवन ही ऐसा है. ऐसे वो लेमेंट कर रहा था. आपको पता है ना, गधे खड़े होके भी सोते हैं. तो ऐसे लेमेंट कर करके वो थोड़ा सोता रहा. और फिर उसने देखा शाम होती आ रही है और ये धोबी का काम हो गया है. He had even dried the clothes by then. And then he tied it up and brought and tied it up on the donkey also. फिर उसने गधे को कहा, है चल अब जाएंगे. वो गधा हिला ही नहीं, ऐसे देख रहा है उसको, हिला ही नहीं. तब उसने कहा, अरे क्या हुआ तुम्हें, क्या हुआ? फिर उसको याद आया, अरे मैंने इसको बांध के रखा है ना. तो उसने फिर से एक्टिंग खोल रहा है, पूरा खोल रहा है, पेड़ से भी खोल रहा है. और at once the donkey moved and started walking. इतना स्मार्ट डोंकी है वो कि उसने सोच लिया था मैं पूरा बाउंड हूँ और अभी फ्री हुआ. और फिर वो घर गया धोबी के साथ. मन एव मनुष्याणां कारणं बन्धमोक्षयोः. You are bound by your mind, by your identities. You are bound by your assumptions. You are bound by excessive body consciousness. Nothing else binds us but this. And मोक्ष जो है वो भी कहीं स्वर्ग में है या ब्रह्मलोक में नहीं है, वो भी हमारे अंदर ही है. आत्मज्ञान इस मोक्ष. इसका मतलब है आप हमारी जो मिसप्लेस्ड आइडेंटिटी है उसको करेक्ट कर लेना. Our sense of ourselves should rest in the self. This is the point I'm trying to make. because everything else is assumed. You see, it's the work of your mind. Check and see. Check your every identity. It is contextual. You are playing a particular role in that context. It is not permanent. It is not final thing about you. But you have invested all energy, time, everything into it. So it appears to be I. इसको scrutinize करना है. इसी को विवेक कहते हैं. All my identities are assumed. Contextual, temporary, meaningful only in that context. है ना? आप अपने ऑफिस में बॉस हो सकते हो, घर में बॉस हो सकते हो? कभी नहीं. Only in the context of your office work, you are a boss to a few people. So also your relationships. Only the family context, you are that particular role you are playing. So identity का nature ही ये है. It is assumed. I'm not saying it's unreal. It is assumed. And it is contextual. It is not your permanent being. But your sense of self-awareness persists whatever role you are playing. Please see. It persists when you are the mother, when you are the father at home. It persists when you are the director of your company. It persists when you are teaching your kids. It persists at all times. तो वेदांत यही कहता है, switch your identity from the impermanent to permanent. Your sense of yourself should be based on the Atman. Out of that will come strength, maturity, and sense of proportion in how to deal with things of life. Otherwise, your identity will play the fool with your life. ये आपने देखा है? Identity improportionately exaggerated will ruin life. Somebody has pointed this out very beautifully. देखिए, अगर पाकिस्तान और इंग्लैंड के बीच में क्रिकेट मैच हो रहा हो, आप किसको सपोर्ट करेंगे? पाकिस्तान एंड इंग्लैंड वर्ल्ड कप फाइनल हो रहा है. Whom will you support? England. Why not? Pakistan, see, they ruled us for 200 years and reduced us to such a level of poverty. लेकिन फिर भी आप उनको सपोर्ट करेंगे और पाकिस्तान को क्यों? मैं हिंदुस्तानी हूँ. Once my identity clashes with that identity. Identity plays the fool with our lives. The actual problem was England alone. उसी ने हमें विभक्त किया है. हाँ. But फिर भी हमारे इमोशंस ऐसे हैं ना, जिसको हम अपनी आइडेंटिटी क्लेम करते हैं, जिस पर हमारी आइडेंटिटी बैठती है, that will decide everything in your life. At once, Pakistan will become enemy. Although the real enemy is England. So I'm not saying it's an enemy. I'm just saying that. हमारी history shows that, see, this is how human psychology works. Once you have fixed your identity, anybody standing opposite to it becomes enemy friend. इसीलिए इस identity को अगर हम नहीं correct करेंगे ना, if we don't change our sense of ourselves, whole life, it is you versus the universe. Very bad ideology, I'm telling you. I versus somebody. So it's a life of competition and survival of the fittest. This befits the animal world, not the human world. In the human world, who survives best? जिसके हृदय में करुणा है, जिसके हृदय में प्रेम है, जो शेयर कर सकता है, जो खुद को सैक्रिफाइस करता है दूसरों के लिए. Darwin's survival theory applies only to animal world, not to your world. ये किसी ने अभी तक पॉइंट आउट ही नहीं किया. पूरे even PhD level they are studying only evolutionary theory बने Darwin के theory. That is applies only to animal world. Yes, natural selection, survival of the fittest applies. At the most, it will apply to your Annamaya Kosh to a certain extent. Nothing more than that. You go far beyond that for real evolution. इसीलिए अगर हमें सचमुच इवॉल्व करना है, we require Vedant. Yes, otherwise we can't even identify the problem. We don't identify the problem. आपको पता है, if your sense of identity falls in place, what will happen?
Everything else will fall in place.
Everything else will fall in place. This is the power of your mind. This is the power of your mind. आपने वो वीडियो देखा है, Miracle of Positive Thinking?
Yes.
Yes, all of you have seen? Miracle of Positive Thinking. Yes, by me. तो नहीं देखा हो तो वो देख लीजिए. The power of your mind is such, if you think something intensely, repeatedly, it will become real in your life. तो अगर ये वेदांतिक ideas I think repeatedly and continuously, it will become real in my life. यही ज्ञान योग है. Just through the power of thought, you can get a breakthrough, an insight into the nature of your true being, pure consciousness. ब्रह्म वस्तु कहीं बाद में आफ्टर लाइक पोस्टमार्टम स्टेट में हमें अटेन करनी है, ऐसा नहीं है. Right now it is there. I am identified wrongly. I must end that. So the problem is ignorance, avidya. इसी को माया कहते हैं. The problem is ignorance. See, it is so clear you are functioning through body and mind. How is it you think you are body and mind? Because we don't think properly. We are used to this slumber. It is so clear. You are functioning through body and mind. This is object of perception. Even your thoughts are objects of perception. Your meditation, you can actually hone it, refine it, cultivate it. Which means obviously you are apart from it in your real sense of being. But nahi. So when wrong identities become primary, the asal चीज पीछे चले जाएगी. यही हो रहा है. Then we are imagining worlds and worlds of sojourn, and karma theory will take us there and here. See, if you want to fool yourself, there is enough material for us to fool you. I'm telling you. Even Upanishads will give you stories and stories and stories. But if you want to get this insight into the nature of reality, penetrate into who am I? मैं कौन हूँ? There is nothing greater than this question. It will change, at once change your misplaced identity. So this is the method of Vedanta. इसलिए इसको direct path कहते हैं. It doesn't take you, it's not a long scenic route. Directly ले जाता है. And don't sit and lament and imagine things. ये एक टेंडेंसी है ह्यूमन माइंड की. जो असल चीज अभी अवेलेबल है उसको नहीं देखना और बैठ के मौन करना. आई विश अगर मैं फैमिली में नहीं होती ना कितना अच्छा होता. हाँ, मैं फ्री हो जाती जैसे ये सब माता जी लोग सब हैं, हिमालय में चली जाती. दिस ऑल सिली इमेजिनेशन. यू ऑलरेडी आर व्हाट द योगी इज. You already are that. इसको आइडेंटिफाई करना, एटलीस्ट डीपली थिंक अबाउट इट. वो एक बहुत सुंदर स्टोरी है जो ठाकुर के जीवनी में है ना, ये दैट टाइगर कब विच वाज रेज्ड फॉर शीप. ऐसी एक और भी सुंदर स्टोरी है, आप देखिए. उसी तरह की एक स्टोरी है. एक देयर वाज एन ईगल which was flying towards its nest. But ऐसे हुआ कि उसने it laid its eggs before it could reach the nest. So एक हट के ऊपर उसको कुछ hay जैसा दिखाई दिया, तो it laid its eggs there. And then one of those eggs rolled down and fell into the chicken pen जो बोलते हैं ना, जहाँ पर वो चिकन कूप रहता है वहाँ पर. तो वो रोल होके वहाँ पर गिर गया. Then these chicken in that pen thought it is their egg. वो बड़ा सा था लेकिन उनको पता नहीं, चिकन है ना, जैसे वो गला था में चिकन. तो उन्होंने सोचा हमारा ही है, तो बस उसको they hatched the egg. Then out came a baby eagle. तो वो तो डार्क था लेकिन इन्होंने सोचा हमारा ही बच्चा है, इस रंग का है, क्या करें, कोई बात नहीं. तो उसको पाला पोसा, उसको उनके साथ ले जाते थे. And there were little chicks also in that chicken coop. Hmm? जो वो hen के साथ जाते थे, rooster के साथ घूमते थे, और फिर सब पैक करते थे ग्रेन्स जो उनको खिलाया जाता था. तो ये तो बड़ा था साइज में ये ईगल, लेकिन वो भी पैक करता जाता. और जैसे वो बिहेव करते थे, वो इट्स कंडीशन लर्नड बिहेवियर, वो उसने वो सब हासिल कर लिया. बस now he's a hen in his head, only in his head he is a hen. Okay, he is not an eagle. तो एक दिन क्या हुआ, वो जैसे बड़ा होता गया, एकदम बड़ा सा हो गया. तो वहाँ पर एक क्लिफ थी, वो चिकन पेन के पास ही एक थोड़ी सी दूरी में एक क्लिफ था, जिस पर बैठ के पूरा पैनोरामा ऑफ द माउंटेन्स एंड वैलीज एंड स्काई पूरा देख सकते थे. तो ये धीरे धीरे चल चल के वहाँ चला गया, और कोई चिकन वहाँ जाता नहीं था, तो ये अकेला चला गया वहाँ पर. और वहाँ पर उसने अचानक देखा, अरे ये कितना सुंदर नज़ारा है, so beautiful, the wide vista of mountains and forests and valley, और वहाँ पर तो एक रिवर है. मैं कहाँ पर, एक्चुअली the hut was on a hill, तो उसको बहुत सुंदर वो विस्टा दिखाई दिया. फिर उसने आकाश की तरफ देखा, तो वहाँ एक ईगल घूम रहा था. It was flying and he looked at that and said, अरे वाह, कितना how lucky this eagle is. काश मैं भी ऐसा होता, काश मैं भी ईगल होता. उसका कैसी दृष्टि होगी उसकी, how his perception of the entire world must be. It must be so magical. Oh, I wish I was an eagle. ये सोच के फिर वहाँ मदर हैन डिड क्लक क्लक, और ये भाग गया, अंदर भाग गया, क्योंकि he thinks he's a chicken. फिर नेक्स्ट डे फिर से आया, फिर से उसने देखा, ये उसका भाई था जो, I wish I was free like this, completely free. But how can I be? I'm a chicken. मेरे तो पंख भी नहीं है ऐसे, पंख थे, he had tucked it away inside. And then he turned back. तो रोज ऐसा होता रहा कि वो आके देखता था, उसके ही भाई को देखता था, और सोचता था I wish I was an eagle, and वापस जाता था. Then some 5 years went by and he became old. तो अब और ज़्यादा शक्ति नहीं रही ऐसा सब एडवेंचर करने की. तो anyway, one day he cluttered and he, with great difficulty, he came to the cliff. मुझे चिकन नहीं रहना, I want to be an eagle. This is my last wish. This is my prayer. करके he jumped over the cliff and died. This is the story. जो ईगल था, उसके मन में आइडिया था कि मैं चिकन हूँ. You feel we are bound, and once you start thinking you are bound, ना mind will create the structures of bondage. जो आप सोचते हो बार बार, वही आपके लाइफ में रियल रहेगा. What you repeatedly think you will become, very important. This is not merely law of attraction. This is actually the law in Vedanta. Because your mind creates the bondage, the structures of ignorance around you. So how do I perceive myself becomes very important. इसीलिए if this Vedantic knowledge is in the background, you know, if somebody had even once told that eagle that अरे तुम eagle ही हो, तुम hen नहीं हो, at least you would have attempted to fly. At least you would have attempted to fly. So हमारे साथ भी यही हो रहा है, एकदम वेदांतिक नॉलेज नहीं है. Look at the average Hindu home. This is Greek and Latin for our children today. It is really very sorry state of affairs. So आप लोगों से यही प्रार्थना है कि you will sensitize your children to this.